Have you ever noticed how some people seem to get ahead without working longer hours than you? They don't look smarter, they don't look luckier, yet their income jumps faster than yours. It feels unfair, like they discovered a shortcut no one told you about. Here's the secret. They didn't stumble on a hidden lottery ticket. They built a stack of rare but simple skills that amplify each other. Not one magic talent, not one golden opportunity, but a mix of skills that compound over time. This video is about building that stack for yourself. Not in theory, not in vague motive fluff, but in clear steps you can follow for the next 90 days. By the end, you'll know 10 skills that multiply your value. You'll have a map to practice them, and you'll see how they connect into a flywheel that keeps spinning long after you start. This is the Passive Path, a place where we study how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth, not through luck, but through small choices that echo. And to get there, we'll begin with a quick snapshot of the ideas behind this video. The conversation that inspired this episode revolved around 10 key abilities, each one simple, each one more powerful when combined with the others. Clear communication, intentional listening, stacking complementary skills, building your own distribution, asking better questions, influence rooted in purpose, creating systems and leverage, making faster decisions, developing grit, and finding intrinsic motivation for long games. These 10 are not abstract theories. They are practical. They show up in boardrooms, classrooms, in kitchens and coffee shops, and in every place where decisions and money are made. In a previous video on the Passive Path, we touched on leverage and compounding. Today we'll revisit that, but we'll also go further. We'll weave new stories. We'll break each skill down into drills, can practice. Think of this as a toolbox, not a lecture. By the end, you won't just know what the skills are. You'll know how to start stacking them immediately, and once you start stacking, the game changes. Because one skill makes you valuable, but 3 skills that fit together make you rare, and rarity is where the income grows. Next, we start with the most underrated skill of all, the one that makes or breaks every deal, every pitch, every relationship, communication that lands. Communication is the multiplier of every opportunity. It is the bridge between what you know and what others understand. It is the reason 2 people with the same idea can walk into a room and only one walks out with support. Clear beats, clever. A simple phrase can move a room more than a complicated speech. Imagine 2 coworkers pitching the same project. The first one uses technical jargon, slides full of charts, and long explanations. Halfway through, the manager checks email. The second one says, "We're losing 2 hours a day on this problem. Here's a 5-minute fix, saves us a week each month." The room leans forward. The decision is made in 10 minutes. The difference wasn't intelligence, it was clarity. You don't need to be the loudest voice, you need to be the easiest to understand. One way to train this skill is the 2-sentence rule. Before a meeting, write your idea in 2 plain sentences. If you can't explain it in 2 sentences, you don't yet understand it. Another drill is the pause. After stating your key point, stop talking for 3 seconds, let silence do the heavy lifting. You'll notice people process more and often agree faster. There's also the jargon swap. Every time you catch yourself saying synergy or optimize, replace it with something a child would understand. Say working well together. Say make it work better. Simple words don't weaken you, they sharpen you. You can track progress in small ways. Count how many times people say, "I see what you mean." Notice when your emails get faster replies. Notice when your suggestions show up in meeting notes without correction. Think of communication as a lens. If it's dirty, everything you say looks blurry. If it's clear, people see the picture instantly. Now you can make others understand you. But what happens when you learn to understand them first? That is the next skill, listening with intention. Most people hear words. Few actually listen. Listening with intention is different. It is not waiting for your turn to speak. It is not planning your reply while the other person talks. It is giving them space to reveal what they really mean. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you, not nodding politely, not checking their phone, but leaning in, repeating your words back, asking if they understood correctly. You probably felt lighter. You probably trusted them more. That is the power of intentional listening. It turns conversations into cooperation. It turns colleagues into allies. A product manager once sat with a client who was frustrated The client kept complaining about missing features. Instead of defending the roadmap, the manager mirrored the last few words of each sentence. The client opened up. Eventually, he admitted the real issue wasn't features, was fear of legal liability if something went wrong. The solution was not more buttons. It was better documentation and a clear contract. That deal closed. Listening uncovers what no pitch could. You can practice this skill every day. Try the mirror technique. Repeat the last few words someone says softly as a question. It signals you're paying attention. It nudges them to go deeper. Use labeling. Say what you think they're feeling. It sounds like you're frustrated. It seems this deadline is overwhelming. Often people correct you, and in correcting you, they clarify their own thoughts. End with a summary. So if I understand, you need a faster process, less back and forth. Is that right? This last step matters. It closes the loop, it shows respect, and it avoids costly misunderstandings. You'll know you're improving when people start volunteering more details than you asked for. When emails shrink because you solved the real question the first time. When meetings end earlier because everyone feels heard. Hearing someone is free, but it makes them feel priceless. You can now speak clearly. You can now listen deeply. What happens when you combine those with one more piece? A third skill that makes you stand out in any room. Most people chase mastery in one lane. They try to be the best coder, the best salesperson, the best analyst, but there's another path, the path of stacking skills. You do not need to be the number one in the world at a single thing. You need to be in the top 20% at a few things that fit together. That mix makes you rare, and rarity creates value. Think of a puzzle. One piece alone is nothing. 3 pieces together start to show the picture. That picture is what people pay for. Take the story of a marketer named Lena. She wasn't the best at advertising. She wasn't the best design. She wasn't the best at analytics. But she was decent at all 3. That made her dangerous, because she could run an entire campaign without waiting for someone else. Her company noticed. They gave her more freedom, more budget, more trust. Or look at a teacher who loved explaining ideas. She added basic video editing, then learned how to run online communities. She wasn't the top in any one skill, but together they allowed her to build a course that reached 1,000. She went from classroom salary to 6 figures a year. You already have pieces on the table. The trick is to see how they fit. Draw a 3x3 grid. In the first row, write the skills you already have. In the second row, write the ones you enjoy. In the third row, write the ones the market pays for. Then connect the dots where lines cross. That is your stack. That is your unfair edge. Start small. Pick one new skill that bridges 2 others. 30 days of focus is enough to get from 0 to useful. You know it is working when people start calling you for things outside your job description. When your name comes up in rooms you are not in. When you are not just another worker, but the only one with that mix. You now have the beginnings of a rare stack. The next question is simple. If you are building skills, where do you put them on display so the world can see? A skill without visibility is like a book locked in a drawer. It might be brilliant, but no one knows it exists. That is why you need distribution. You own, not borrowed attention, not likes that disappear overnight. Something steady, something you control. Imagine 2 writers. One posts daily on a social platform. The other sends a short weekly email to a small list of readers. When the algorithm changes, the first writer's reach vanishes. The second writer still has hers, because she owns the connection. The same applies to careers. A designer with a portfolio site and a mailing list can attract clients directly. A freelancer who depends only on a single platform can be shut down overnight. Building distribution is simpler than it sounds. Start with a 1-page site. Write your name, what you do, a sample of your work, and one clear way for people to contact you. Then add an email list. Send one short note every week. Not a novel, not a pitch, just one idea, one example, one action people can try. Repurpose everything. A slide from your presentation can be a LinkedIn post. A quick voice note can be turned into a blog paragraph. A question you answered for one person can become an email for many. The signals of progress are easy to track. Your list grows week after week. People reply to your notes. Clients come in already trusting you because they know your work. This is how you build a stage for your skills. A place that doesn't vanish when the algorithm shifts. Now you have a stage, you have an audience. The next step is not to shout louder, it is to ask better questions that unlock hidden door. Questions are levers. A weak question gets you a yes or no. A strong question opens a door you did not know existed. Most people ask, "Do you like it?" That question is small. It gives no room to explore. Instead, ask, "What part works best for you?" Or, "What would make this twice as useful?" Now the other person has to think. They have to reveal what matters. Picture an engineer showing a prototype. He asks his manager, "Do you like it?" The manager shrugs, says, "Yeah, it's fine." The meeting ends. Nothing changes. Next week, he tries again. This time asks, "Which part feels confusing to you?" The manager points at one screen. Together they fix it. The project moves forward. Asking better questions is not only for work. A parent asks, "Did you have a good day at school?" The child says, "Fine." The conversation dies. The next day, the parent asks, "What was the funniest thing that happened at lunch?" The child lights up, tells a story. Connection grows. You can practice this skill in simple ways. Use the 5 why.
When someone gives an answer, ask why 5 times. Each step digs deeper. Add one clarifying question at the end of every meeting. Say, "What did we miss?" You'll catch blind spots before they become disasters. Track your progress by noticing the shift. People give you longer answers, invite you earlier into projects. They stop holding back information. Good questions change conversations. Great questions change decisions. Now you can speak clearly. You can listen deeply. You can ask questions that reveal the truth. The next step is learning how to move people with purpose.
Influence is not about pushing people. It is about showing them why something matters to them. Most arguments fail because they stay at the surface. We talk about features. We talk about numbers. We forget the story behind them. Purpose is the language of trust. When people feel the why, they stop resisting the what. Think about a volunteer drive at a food bank. The organizer says, "We need more people to fill boxes." A few sign up, most ignore it. The next week, she says, "If you give 2 hours this Saturday, 40 families will eat fresh meals next week." The sign-up sheet fills instantly. The work is the same. The story is different. In business, the same rule applies. An engineer wanted to refactor a messy system. The team pushed back. Too much work, too little reward. He reframed it. "If we fix this, we cut late-night outage calls in half." Now the room nodded, said yes. You can practice this skill by writing 3 lines for every proposal: why it matters to the user, why it matters to the team, why it matters to the company. If you can answer those 3, your case is stronger than numbers alone. You will know it works when your phrases echo back at you in meetings. When someone says, "As you pointed out, this saves everyone time." Purpose multiplies influence, and influence multiplies income. But influence alone is fragile. You need something sturdier, something that works even when you are not in the room. That is where systems and leverage come in. 1 hour of effort should not vanish after 60 minutes. If it does, you will always be stuck trading time for money. Leverage changes that. Leverage means your work keeps working after you stop. Think about a musician playing live. When the show ends, the music ends. Now think about the same musician recording a song once. That song can play a billion times without her lifting a finger. That is leverage. We talked about leverage before on the passive path. This time we go deeper, because leverage is not only for creators, it is for anyone who wants freedom. A consultant once spent 3 hours writing a proposal for every new client. Each one slightly different. It drained his weeks. Then he built a template. 1 hour of design used 100 times. That template doubled his speed, and his income followed. Another example is a small bakery. At first, they baked everything from scratch daily. Exhausting. Then they created a standard recipe book, trained new staff with it. The owner stepped back. The bakery ran smoothly without her. That recipe book was a system. That system was leverage. You can start small, record your screen the next time you do a task. Write down the steps, save it. Now anyone can follow it. Automate the simplest thing you do often. Maybe it is filing receipts. Maybe it's sending reminders. Every 5 minutes saved compounds into hours each month. You know it is working when your output grows, but your hours do not. You stop answering the same questions twice. You start saying yes to bigger opportunities because the basics run themselves. Leverage is quiet power. It multiplies you without burning you out. With systems in place, you free up time. The question becomes, how fast can you make decisions with that time? Most people treat every choice like it could ruin their life. They wait, they research, they hesitate. Weeks pass, opportunities disappear. Speed matters more than perfection because most decisions are reversible. You can adjust, you can undo, you can try again. Think of a sailor adjusting sails. If the wind shifts, he does not call a meeting. He pulls a rope. He can always correct later. That small adjustment keeps the ship moving. A founder once debated pricing for 6 months. He wanted certainty. By the time he decided, a competitor had already taken the market. Another founder tested 2 prices with 5 customers in a week. She learned fast. She picked the better model. She moved ahead. You can use the regret test. Ask yourself, in 10 years, will I regret not trying this? If the answer is yes, act now. You can also time box your choices. 30 minutes for small decisions, 2 days for medium ones, 1 week for the big ones. The deadline forces action. Say yes to low-risk experiments. Say no only when the downside is permanent. Most things are not permanent. You know you are improving when your calendar shows motion instead of stalled projects. When you are running small tests instead of endless debates, when you stop losing months to hesitation. Speed is fuel, but fuel alone burns out fast. What keeps you going when the results are slow? Success rarely comes in a straight line. It looks more like a flat road with small bumps, long stretches where nothing seems to change. Then a sudden jump. Most people quit in the flat part. They confuse lack of immediate results with lack of progress. That is where grit separates winners from everyone else. Grit is not loud. It is not glamorous. It is quiet repetition when no one is watching. A runner once decided to jog every morning, not far, just 1 mile. For 3 months, no weight changed, no times improved. Friends told him to try something else. He kept running. On day 90, notice the mile felt easy. By day 180, he could run a half marathon. The chart was flat for months. Then it curved upward. A young salesperson faced silence after dozens of cold emails. He kept sending 10 every morning before coffee. On day 40, 1 reply. That reply became the company's largest client of the year. The practice is simple. Pick one hard thing. Do it every day at the same time. 9 a.m. 30 minutes, non-negotiable. Track streaks, not outcomes. A broken streak is a reset. A long streak is a foundation. You will know it is working when the work feels normal, when discipline turns into identity, when people start calling you consistent instead of lucky. Grit keeps you in the game long enough for compounding to show up, but grit without joy turns bitter. The next skill is what keeps you playing the long game with energy. Intrinsic motivation. Money can pull you for a while, but it cannot push you forever. If the only reason you work is a paycheck, burnout is waiting around the corner. Intrinsic motivation is different. It is the energy that comes from doing something you would do even if nobody paid you. Think of a gardener. He spends hours in the soil, not for money, but for the joy of watching life grow. Later, he turns his hobby into a landscaping business. Clients hire him because they can feel the care in every detail. A software developer once volunteered to mentor juniors on weekends. He loved helping others learn. That joy kept him energized. A year later, a company hired him to run training programs full-time. The thing he would have done for free became his career. This is why finding the game you enjoy matters, because long games require years, and only joy keeps you in the race. You can practice this by making a list. Write down 3 tasks you would do even if you won the lottery, then schedule at least one of them every week. Protect that time. It is not wasted, it is fuel. Choose collaborators you genuinely like. If you would not share a meal with someone, do not share a project with them. Energy is contagious. The wrong people drain it. The right people multiply it. You will know it is working when you leave work with more energy than you started with. When you catch yourself learning at night because you want to, when progress feels like play instead of punishment. Now you have 10 skills. They are powerful alone, but the real magic happens when you connect them. That connection creates a flywheel that keeps spinning on its own. A single skill is like a gear on its own. It can turn, but it does not move much when you connect gears. One spins the next. Momentum builds. That is a flywheel. The skill flywheel works the same way. Learn a micro skill, show proof of it, share it where people can see, systematize the output. It repeats. Ask better questions to refine it. Make quick decisions to adjust, show up with grit to keep it alive, play the long game because you enjoy it. Each turn makes the next easier. Each cycle multiplies the force. Picture an analyst. She learns a new charting tool. She posts one chart a week online. She collects email subscribers who like data stories. She builds a simple template to make charts faster. She asks her readers what data problems they face. She runs quick tests on new visual styles. She does it every week. After 6 months, she has an audience. After a year, she has clients asking her to teach them. Or think of a designer. He writes one page about how to fix a bad landing page. He shares it as a thread. People subscribe for more tips. He turns the fixes into a template pack. He creates a simple intake form for clients. He hosts a short monthly Q&A for his subscribers. Each step feeds the next. Each spin makes the wheel heavier. It keeps turning even when he takes a day off. The flywheel is about speed alone. It is about rhythm. Learn, show, share, systematize, refine, decide, repeat. Once it is spinning, it pulls opportunities toward you. You no longer chase, you attract, but a wheel without a clock wobbles. The next step is giving yourself a clear 90-day plan to keep it steady. Big changes do not come from giant leaps. They come from steady steps stacked over time. 90 days is long enough to see results, but short enough to stay focused. Start with weeks 1 and 2. Build your foundation. Record a 60-second clarity clip every morning. Pick one conversation each day where you only listen. Launch a simple one-page site with one clear way to reach you. Weeks 3 and 4. Sharpen communication and questions. Cut 2 presentations in half. Turn them into 6-minute versions. Replace 3 yes or no questions with deeper ones in every meeting. Weeks 5 and 6. Build distribution. Send one short weekly email. One idea, one example, one action. Collect a single testimonial and put it on your site. Weeks 7 and 8. Create systems. Record 2 tasks and turn them into step-by-step guides. Build one reusable template. Automate one repetitive score. Weeks 9 and 10, practice influence and decision speed. Rewrite one proposal around the why for the user. Run 2 small reversible tests instead of long debates. Weeks 11 and 12, build grit and joy. Do one hard task every morning at 9. Protect one block each week for work you would do even if unpaid. Week 13, review your scorecard. Rate each skill from 1 to 5. Choose one new skill to start the next cycle. This rhythm keeps the flywheel steady. It removes the guesswork. It turns growth into habit. With a plan in motion, you need a way to measure, because what you do not track, you will forge. A plan is only alive if you can see your progress without a scoreboard. You are just guessing. Build a simple sheet with 10 rows, 1 row for each skill. Next to it, 4 columns, practice done, proof shipped, response received. Next step chosen. Every Friday, take 15 minutes, mark what you did, circle what you missed, decide what comes next. Do not overcomplicate it. Green for done, red for missed. That is enough. Over weeks, the colors tell a story. You see where you are consistent. You see where you avoid the hard work. You see where small actions are stacking into momentum. Scoreboard is not for judgment. It is for clarity. It shows you reality without excuses. And clarity is power, because once you see the pattern, you can change it. But even with a scoreboard, there are traps waiting, traps that steal momentum quietly, traps that stop your wheel from turning. The first trap is chasing shiny tools, a new app, a new system, a new method. You spend hours setting it up, you forget to do the actual work. The fix is simple. Do 30 minutes of real practice before you touch any tool. If you still have energy, then explore the tool, Never reverse order. The second trap is creating without proof. You write long posts full of opinions, but there is nothing people can touch or see, no evidence, no sample, no result. The fix is to add proof to everything. Share a screenshot, share a before and after, share a small win from your own practice. The third trap is waiting for a big break. People tell themselves they need luck. They need a viral post. They need someone important to notice them. So they wait, and nothing happens. The fix is to create a weekly habit you control. One chart, one note, one idea, every week without fail. The break is not a moment. The break is the accumulation of signals over time. Avoiding these traps keeps your wheel turning. And when your wheel keeps turning, opportunities stop being rare events. They become regular visitors. The next step is learning how to convert those visits into income. Skills attract attention, but attention alone does not pay the bills. You need to shape your skills into offers people can buy. One path is a productized service. Take something you do well, package it into a clear deliverable with a fixed scope and a fixed price. Instead of selling hours, outcomes. A freelancer who wrote endless custom reports switched to a flat package, one dashboard, one revision, delivered in 7 days. Clients loved the clarity. She worked less, she earned more. Another path is licensing. Turn what you know into templates, checklists, playbooks, build once, sell many times. A photographer created a set of presets for editing. He shared them with his small audience. It grew into a steady stream of income. Even when he was on vacation, the presets kept selling. Teaching is another door. You do not need a giant course. You can start with a live workshop for 10 people, charge a small fee, deliver one lesson, record it. Now you have material for the next round. Advisory is the quiet lane. You help a handful of clients solve high-stakes problems. You charge for clarity, not hours, not effort, just answers that save them money or time. Each model is a way to let your skills earn while you sleep. Each one turns rare skills into recurring streams. When you have multiple streams, stop depending on one boss, one client, one platform. The question then becomes, what does this look like in real lives? How do ordinary people use skill stacks to change their money story? May was a nurse who knew hospital routines better than anyone. She added a simple skill in logistics. She learned how supplies moved. She practiced public speaking by giving short talks at staff meetings. Her stack became unique: clinical knowledge, logistics, communication. She proposed a new system to reduce medication errors. It worked. Her hospital promoted her to lead process improvement. Her income rose. Her stress dropped. Eric was an analyst drowning in spreadsheets. He learned basic SQL. He practiced storytelling by writing short LinkedIn posts. He started a monthly newsletter called 3 Charts That Matter. At first, only 10 people subscribed. After 6 months, hundreds were reading. Recruiters reached out. He moved into a fractional growth role with better pay and freedom. Jared was a designer who loved making things look good. He added strategy. He studied how businesses actually made money. Then he built systems to reuse his designs. Instead of charging by the hour, he created packages with clear outcomes. Startups loved the clarity. They paid him more and he worked fewer nights and weekends. These stories are not about luck. They are about stacking skills, showing proof, owning distribution, and staying in the game long enough for people to notice. You do not need to copy their path. You need to build your own stack, because your mix of skills, your mix of joys, your mix of grit, that is your unfair edge. The final step is simple. Take everything you have heard and turn it into action today.